I don't do anything in order to cause trouble. It just so happens that what I do naturally causes trouble. I'm proud to be a troublemaker. Sinead O'Connor. I'm just a troublemaker. Amir, Costa Rica. When I was in high school, I wasn't a troublemaker. I didn't get in fights. I was a good student and I had a lot of friends. Thomas McDonald. All of them turned their backs on me at that time because they thought I was a troublemaker. Fred Korematsu. I guess the point of that song Troublemaker, Doppelganger, is trying to navigate the worth of beauty and if it's hurtful or helpful to value beauty. If it's a curse or a blessing. Is that something really negative and morbid, like the hearse, or is the limousine a glamorous symbol of enjoying life? Lucy Dacus. We all have private ails. The troublemakers are those who need public cures for their private ails. Eric Hoffer. Throughout history, people with new ideas who think differently and try to change things have always been called troublemakers. Rochelle Mead. Society honors its living conformists and its dead troublemakers. Mignon McLaughlin. An art form requires genius. People of genius are always troublemakers, meaning they start from scratch, demolish accepted norms, and rebuild a new world. Henri Langlois. Anger is the ultimate troublemaker. I feel you can express strong disapproval or dislike of an object without losing your temper. Dalai Lama. I wasn't a troublemaker. I wasn't impertinent. The teachers liked me. But year after year, the comments on my report cards basically came down to a single point, and it was 100% accurate. I seemed to get nothing whatsoever out of all those long hours spent in the classroom. Tim Howard. I ruffle a lot of feathers. And I'm also selective, which makes you a troublemaker. But so be it. I laid a cornerstone for black actors, and that makes me happy. Esther Rawl. I loved being a troublemaker. At Santa Monica High, I would smoke on campus, go barefoot, anything. Dinah Manoff. I'm really attracted to anti-heroes, and I'm a little bit of a troublemaker myself, and a little bit of a rule breaker, and I like spies. Doug Lehman. Contrary to what some people may believe, I'm not a troublemaker. August Alsina. People ended up not thinking much of me. They saw me as a bit of a troublemaker. It's important to change people's impressions. Diego Costa. I was a born troublemaker and might as well earn a living at it. Bill Malden. I've got ADHD and my whole life, people thought I was some kind of troublemaker because I had all this energy. Youngblood. It kills me to lose. If I'm a troublemaker, and I don't think that my temper makes me one, then it's because I can't stand losing. That's the way I am about winning. All I ever wanted to do was finish first. Jackie Robinson. I was labeled a troublemaker, my mom an unfit mother, and I was not welcome anywhere. Ryan White. I was a little troublemaker. Always trying to get in trouble, always mischief, like throwing rocks at cars when I was younger, all that kind of stuff. Ryan Lochte. I was never a troublemaker, but I also was never a nerdy kid. I was never a cool kid or a sports kid. At lunchtime, I never fit in with any cliques, so it ends up just walking around the school by myself, listening to music. Finn Jones. I was just a goofy little funny kid, who was always getting sent to the principal. It wasn't serious because I was smart. I wasn't like a true troublemaker, just rambunctious, talkative, and trying to be funny. That was me in middle school. J. Cole. I was a troublemaker. For a long time, I didn't fit in. Doug Lehman. I was the troublemaker, always being funny, that's just who I am. Joan Smalls. Sometimes when women come forward about sexual harassment, they're seen as a troublemaker. Gretchen Carlson. I think we all attract troublemakers. I don't think it's particularly about anyone. I had it actually as an album title, and I thought it would be really cool to write a song about a girl that's a bit of a troublemaker. Ollie Murs. I was kind of a troublemaker, believe it or not. Grace Potter. American record companies seem to feel I am anti-Western, anti-capitalism, anti the kind of society they like. They think I'm a troublemaker. Fela Kuti. I was a big troublemaker in the group. I put them through a lot of pain, but as much as I gave to them, they gave right back to me. D.D. Ramone. I learned that if you're going to be a troublemaker, you don't want a ton of witnesses, because Therese inevitable fallout from living like you're in Lord of the Flies. Natasha Lyonne. Brian was the oldest, I was in the middle and Carl was the baby. I was the troublemaker. Brian got great grades and Carl got the kind of grades I did. I failed everything. I was too busy fighting and running wild. Dennis Wilson. As a militant troublemaker, I once wrote that it was the duty of every woman worthy of the description to upset men at least 3 times a day, on principle. Julie Burchill. Whenever you write music, you want it to touch people on a certain level. I mean, I've been reading tweets about Troublemaker and people saying, OMG, I can so relate to this is a guy that I fancy or a girl that I fancy, it's exactly like this person. Ollie Murs. My record was so bad that I was first rejected by the Peace Corps as a poor risk and possible troublemaker and was accepted as a volunteer only after a great deal of explaining and arguing. Paul Theroux. I am interested in work that jumps boundaries, and that makes trouble. Part of me is comfortable with that, with being a bit of a troublemaker. David Shields. Oh, I had my gothy phase, but I was never a troublemaker or anything like that. I was a little bit introspective, a little bit morbid. I was small for my age, so I was bullied in that kind of stuff. Ariel Pink. Troublemaker is not an adaptation of Metro Girl or Motormouth. It is an original story. The hardest part was probably trying to keep the sound true to the novels. I always write in the first person, and it was important to us that the readers of Metro and Motor be comfortable with the changeover to a graphic novel. Janet Ivanovich. Like Metro and Motor, Troublemaker is written in the first person. The only narration that happens is Barney speaking to the reader / thinking in her head. First person was a big challenge in the graphic novel because we want both men and women of all ages to enjoy Troublemaker. Janet Ivanovich. I started karate in middle school when my parents wanted me to babysit my younger brother. He was a little troublemaker, so they wanted me to make sure the class was going okay. I ended up being way more into it than my brother. Karen Fukuhara. I've never kept my mouth shut, especially as my industry is so misogynistic. I've got a reputation as a troublemaker. Rosanna Arquette. I'm not a troublemaker. People say you got into a lot of incidents. Yeah, but it was on the basketball floor. Charles Oakley. Honestly, I was a troublemaker. In the environment I grew up in, my mom and my sister decided they were going to sign me up for every single thing to keep me busy. I played football, basketball, baseball. Anything, whatever was in season, I was signed up for it. Basketball was one of the things that just stuck. Lou William. When we talk about a global crisis or a crisis of humanity, we cannot blame a few politicians, a few fanatics, or a few troublemakers. The whole of humanity has a responsibility because it is our business, human business. I call this a sense of universal responsibility. That is a crucial point. Dalai Lama. Anger, jealousy, impatience, and hatred are the real troublemakers, with problems cannot be solved. Dalai Lama. Since no one really knows anything about God, those who think they do are just troublemakers. Rabia Basri. I respect every way in which you are a troublemaker, now get up and do what your mother says. Haben Kimmel. The moment that changed me forever was the moment my first child was born. I was happy, filled with hope, and thought, now I understand the whole point of work, of life, of love. Paul Theroux. We need, in every community, a group of angelic troublemakers. Beard Rustin.